is the Lincoln Memorial has a beautiful reflecting pond or lake. They call it a pool, lake, and pond. Everything is different, but the word reflecting is a good term. It was built in 1922, and it was built out of granite and various stones on the bottom, and they never look great because that's not really meant to be a stone that's underwater for that much of a period of time. It's about 1.5 to 2 feet deep. You all know it well. That's where Martin Luther King gave his great speech, and he had 1 million people, and I had the same exact crowd, maybe a little bit more, but they said I had 25,000 people on July 4th. I have pictures of Martin Luther King's crowd, my crowd. It's the exact same everything, but it was 70 years difference. The exact same crowd, but I actually had more people, but that's okay. They gave him 1 million people. They said 1 million people. I had 25,000 people. So, but these are the things that you get with. We had on July 4th, a few years ago, first term. So, you have this reflecting lake pond is incredible, but it was terrible. The condition, you all know it. A friend of mine came from Germany to see me, and he said, "Oh, we went over. It's so sad." What's sad? This is a number of months ago. He said, "It's filthy, dirty. The water's disgusting looking. It's not representative of the country." And I said, "Well, I'm going to have to go take a look because, you know, Secret Service doesn't let you just walk around too freely, actually." And I went over there with Secret Service in tow, and I said, "Isn't that a shame? It's terrible." And so they had bids from the Biden administration, Sleepy Joe, and they had bids for years. They were going to do something to fix it, but they never got it done. And it's so important for our country. Everybody knows this. It covers the Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial. It's in between. It's 2,200 feet. That's taller than any building in the world if you lay it down on its side. Think of it, 2,000. That's a long, over 2,000 feet long. Such would be many swimming pools, many, many, many stacked up together. But it would be the equivalent of the tallest building in the world, plus laid down on its side. So it's very big. It's very wide, actually. It looks narrow because it's so long. And so the pricing was coming in over the years, but it came in sort of recently that it was going to cost $301 million to fix it. It was going to take 3.5 years. So they had to take all the granite out, which is there again, 1922. And it was leaking like a sieve. You couldn't keep water, couldn't keep anything. Granite's not the right stone for that. Right stone for that, but not for that. And I said, you know, I have an idea. It's 301 million. It was going to take 3.5 years. So remember those numbers. 301 million. This is a business study. And it was going to take 3 to 3.5 years. And over the years as a developer, I have probably built more than 100 swimming pools, different buildings I built. And I have some really good pool builders. I also had some really bad ones, but we took care of them. They didn't last too long, Howard. But I've had some really good ones, some very talented people. They're great people. I have such great respect for contractors that are good and such disdain for contractors that are bad. They charge you more money and they give you a bad job, but we don't accept it. But over the years, I've had 3 or 4 really good ones, and I took the best of the 3. I had all 3 go, but I ended up taking the best. And I said, would you take a look at this? It's 2,200 feet long. He said, what do you want me to look at? So I said, have a little swimming pool. Think of it as a swimming pool. I said, oh, how big is it? I said, 2,200 feet by 167 feet wide. He said, that's the biggest swimming pool. He said, I've been doing this for a lot of years, sir. I've never heard of a pool like that. I said, well, you'll see, it's a reflecting pool. And very famous, very big signal, and very important for Washington, D.C., where we, by the way, have almost no crime, I have to say. That's maybe more important than talking about this. We have a crime down from a tremendously high, one of the worst in the country. We have almost no crime. People are walking around, restaurants are opening all over the place. The place is bustling. But that makes this even more important. So instead of being a dirty, disgusting place where garbage was in it and everything else, and I want to give Doug Burgum incredible credit because he was involved, the Secretary of the Interior. He was involved right from the beginning. I called him, I said, Doug, I'm getting a lot of complaints about the condition of this. What do you think? And he went over, he studied it, and he came back with some ideas. But I said, you know, Doug, I have a guy who's unbelievable at doing swimming pools. Up the road, we have a club, we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. He did it 20 years ago, and it's perfect to this day. So I asked him, I said, I have an idea. I'm going to send my contractor over and take a look. He looked at it, he called me up, he said, so we can do something on it. He said, it's perfect, actually. He said, it's really decaying and it's a terrible condition. But if you would, I'd like to work 2 weeks on cleaning it up, which is, if you see right here. I'd like to repoint and fix some of the joints. It won't matter because we're putting a substance over the top, but it's nice to have a nice surface. And he said, it'd take me 2 weeks. And if you don't mind, then I'd like to pour the latest and greatest filament or material, which is essentially a pool surface, but it's industrial grade pool. And he said, what color would you like, sir? I said, well, what about turquoise, like in the Bahamas? He said, well, this is Washington, sir. We can give you turquoise, but why don't you try, like, we have a color. It's called American flag blue. I said, that's the color I like. He talked me into it very easily. So he said, that's the color I like. So he came in, and remember, 3.5 years. You have to take all the granite out. Then you have to put all brand new granite in. Take years to do it. Over 300 million. Our job will take 1 week and will cost about $1.5 million. And people said, wow. And here's the only difference, because somebody said, well, the difference is, no, the difference is this is much better. This will last 30, 40, 50 years. And if it didn't, you do it again quickly if you want. So it's being done now, and I think I think you'd find it really amazing to go take a look. So here it is. You see the trucks. He's got scrapers and, you know, all sorts of equipment to make the stone as good as possible without removing it. So we're using the existing surface, so we don't have to spend millions of dollars in demolition. And he said, much better to leave the stone than it is what's underneath. They're afraid to look. And so you see it's beautiful, clean, it's ready to be taken care of. Here's a sign that we put. And so Doug Burgum and myself are involved in that. But when you take a look at the surface, we have it in good shape. And they just started today putting down the material. It's a machine. It lays it very evenly, beautiful. It goes from one side to the other. It'll take about 3 days. And you're going to end up with a beautiful, beautiful reflecting pool the way it's supposed to be. Much better than it ever was, actually. It'll stay clean. We even have robots that go in it, and they ride around the bottom and they clean it like a swimming pool, but these are a much higher level. This is industrial grade, and it's really beautiful. So you're going to have a beautiful pool, and you'll have it for July 4th, long before July 4th. Instead of taking 3.5 years, we're taking a week.